Imagine waking up tomorrow feeling lighter, more focused, and deeply satisfied at the end of the day. Imagine people around you noticing a quiet change in you, a calmness, a clarity, a purpose. What if I told you that this transformation doesn't require years of effort, grand gestures, or massive life changes? What it takes is 10 simple habits, practiced daily, small yet profound, ordinary yet life-changing. Today, let's explore these 10 habits that can turn your everyday life into a journey of growth, joy, and fulfillment. When you wake up in the morning, the first few moments can set the rhythm for your entire day. Often, we rush to check our phones, glance at the news, or worry about all the tasks awaiting us. But imagine if, instead of starting with distractions, you paused for just a few seconds and thought of 3 things you are grateful for. It could be as simple as the warmth of your bed, the laughter of a loved one, the cup of tea you will sip, or the fact that the sun rises every day without fail. This simple act, almost invisible, begins to shift something deep within you. Gratitude is not just a polite gesture or a fleeting thought. It is a lens through which the world transforms. When you focus on what you already have, rather than what is missing, your mind becomes lighter, calmer, and more open. You begin to notice opportunities instead of obstacles, kindness instead of conflict, and beauty even in ordinary moments. There is a quiet magic in this practice because it trains the heart to see abundance rather than scarcity. It's fascinating how small this habit is, yet how enormous its impact can be. A single moment of appreciation can ripple through your interactions, your decisions, and your energy. When gratitude becomes a part of your morning, it colors your speech, your thoughts, and your action. You smile more easily, listen more attentively, and respond with patience rather than irritation. It is a gentle reminder that life is not about waiting for perfect circumstances, but about noticing the perfection in the ordinary. Some days it may feel difficult to find something to be grateful for. That is precisely when this habit matters most. Even on challenging mornings, acknowledging the simple fact that you have breath in your lungs, the chance to start again, or the ability to learn and grow, creates a foundation of resilience. Over time, this small habit doesn't just change your day. It slowly transforms the way you see life itself. Before you reach for your phone or get swept up in the rush of the morning, there is a quiet moment waiting for you, a space that belongs entirely to you. If you pause and take even a few deep breaths, you begin to notice the world differently. The air feels fresher, your body feels heavier with life, and your mind, for a fleeting instant, is free from the clutter of tasks, messages, and obligations. This is the gift of being present in those first moments, of truly feeling where you are and who you are. When you practice this, you realize that so much of life passes while we are only half awake, half conscious, moving through routines without noticing them. The first hour of the day has the power to shape every thought and action that follows. If you start it with mindfulness, you are no longer a passenger in your own life. You become the driver, steering with clarity and calm. You notice the warmth of sunlight on your skin, the gentle rise and fall of your chest with each breath, the simple reality of being alive. This habit of being present is not about perfection or sitting silently for hours. It is about small moments, feeling the water on your face as you wash it, savoring the first sip of tea or coffee, listening fully to the sounds around you without judgment. It trains your mind to slow down, to observe rather than react, and to respond with awareness rather than impulse. Over time, this practice builds a sense of steadiness that carries through the day, helping you face challenges without losing composure, and helping you appreciate ordinary moments that would otherwise slip by unnoticed. The beauty of this habit lies in its simplicity. By giving yourself just a few conscious minutes each morning, you reclaim control over your mind and your day. You become more attentive, more patient, and more in tune with life itself. And slowly, almost imperceptibly, your days start to feel less rushed and more meaningful, because you have chosen to begin each one fully awake, fully present, and fully aware of the precious gift of now. The body is often taken for granted, treated as if it will carry us through life without care or attention. Yet it is the most loyal companion we will ever have. Moving it each day in whatever way feels possible is not just about fitness or appearance. It is about honoring the life that flows through you. A simple walk in the morning, stretching your limbs, or even a few minutes of conscious exercise awakens something deep within. The muscles, joints, and breath synchronize, sending signals to your mind that life is active, alive, and worth engaging with fully. Movement is a conversation with your body. When you walk, run, stretch, or sway gently to music, you are telling yourself that you matter, that your well-being matters, that the energy within you is worth tending to. Even 10 minutes of movement can change the way you feel, clearing mental fog, reducing tension, and opening a space for creativity and calm. There is a rhythm to it, a harmony that emerges when body and mind work together, reminding you that you are not separate from your own life, but deeply woven into its flow. This daily habit also teaches patience and persistence. At first, it may feel like a chore, but with time it becomes a gift you give yourself. You begin to notice subtle shifts, more energy, lighter steps, a steadier breath, a calmer mind. Movement also nurtures resilience, because when the body is strong, the mind naturally becomes more balanced. Challenges that once felt heavy or insurmountable begin to feel manageable, approached with steadiness rather than tension. There is something quietly transformative about showing up for yourself in this way every day. The act of moving reminds you that life is not meant to be sedentary, mentally or physically. It reconnects you to the world through the rhythm of your own heartbeat, the feeling of air moving through your lungs, and the ground beneath your feet. And in this reconnection, you begin to carry yourself differently, more present, more alive, and more capable of facing whatever the day brings, because you have chosen to honor the vessel that carries you through it. Every day offers a new opportunity to feed the mind, to grow quietly and steadily, if only we choose to give it attention. Learning is not reserved for classrooms or formal degrees. It happens whenever we open ourselves to ideas, stories, or experiences that expand our understanding of the world. Even a few minutes spent reading a book, listening to a thought-provoking podcast, or reflecting on something new can create shifts in perspective that ripple far beyond that moment. Knowledge, when gathered consistently, becomes wisdom, and wisdom shapes the way we live, the choices we make, and the way we relate to others. The mind is like a garden. If left unattended, weeds of distraction, doubt, and negativity take root. But when we nourish it with new ideas, insights, and perspectives, it blooms with clarity, creativity, and curiosity. Learning also teaches humility, reminding us that no matter how much we know, there is always more to discover. This humility becomes a quiet strength, allowing us to listen more deeply, think more clearly, and approach life with both openness and discernment. What makes this habit so powerful is its compounding effect. A small daily investment in learning may feel insignificant at first, but over months and years, it transforms the way you see yourself and the world. You begin to notice connections others overlook, find solutions that seem elusive, and develop the confidence to face challenges with insight rather than fear. Beyond practical knowledge, learning shapes character, sharpens judgment, and inspires a sense of wonder. By committing to feed your mind each day, you are also nurturing a sense of purpose. Life becomes less about merely surviving or reacting, and more about engaging thoughtfully and meaningfully. You start to realize that growth is not a distant goal. It is a daily practice, a series of small, intentional steps. Each idea absorbed, each insight considered, and each lesson reflected upon becomes a thread weaving the fabric of a life lived fully, consciously, and with a quiet, enduring richness. Each day arrives with countless possibilities, but without intention, it can slip by unnoticed, leaving us feeling scattered and exhausted. Taking a few moments to pause and decide what truly matters creates a sense of direction that carries through every action. Writing down your top priorities, even just 3, is not a rigid rule. It is a gentle act of self-guidance, a way of telling yourself, "These are the things worth my energy today." When you define your focus, distractions lose their power, and your choices align with what is meaningful rather than urgent. Intentional planning transforms the ordinary flow of hours into a purposeful journey. It brings clarity where there might otherwise be chaos, helping you navigate tasks, relationships, and decisions with a calm, steady mind. There is a certain peace in knowing that the small steps you take today are not random, but part of a deliberate path towards something greater. It also creates a sense of accomplishment because when your actions reflect your priorities, even modest progress feels significant. This practice trains patience and discipline because life will always present interruptions and challenges. Yet when you have a clear sense of what matters, you can respond rather than react, adjusting without losing sight of your direction. Over time, this habit builds confidence and resilience. You begin to trust yourself to make wise choices, to stay grounded amid the noise, and to focus on what truly moves you forward. Planning your day with intention also nurtures presence. When you know your priorities, you can fully engage in each moment, each conversation, and each task, without feeling pulled in every direction. The mind feels lighter, because you no longer carry the burden of scattered thoughts or endless to-dos without purpose. Instead, each action becomes a conscious step, and even the smallest achievements become meaningful markers of progress. In this way, daily intentional planning is not merely a tool for productivity. It is a quiet, powerful practice that shapes the way you move through life, deliberately, calmly, and with a growing sense of fulfillment. There is a quiet power in small acts of kindness, the kind that often goes unnoticed but leaves a lasting mark on both the giver and the receiver. A smile offered to a stranger, a word of encouragement to a friend, or a simple gesture of help can transform a moment and sometimes an entire day. These acts are not measured by their magnitude, but by the intention behind them. Kindness flows naturally when the heart is aware of others, and when it does, it creates a ripple that spreads far beyond what we can see. When you make it a daily habit to uplift someone, you are not just changing their world, you are changing yourself. Each act cultivates patience, empathy, and presence, and reminds you that life is not solely about what you achieve, but also about how you touch the lives of those around you. There is a profound satisfaction that comes from giving without expectation, from offering support, encouragement, or compassion purely because it is needed. It creates a quiet joy that lingers long after the moment has passed. Kindness also teaches humility, for it reminds us that everyone is fighting battles we may never see. By showing even the smallest care, we acknowledge the shared humanity that connects us all. Over time, this habit reshapes how you move through the world. You become more attentive, more patient, and more generous with your presence and energy. You notice opportunities to help where before you might have walked past, and your relationships deepen because they are built on genuine care rather than convenience. In practicing kindness daily, you discover that the gift of giving is not only for others, it nourishes your own heart. Each act strengthens compassion, softens judgment, and reminds you that life is richest when it is shared. The world, often harsh and hurried, becomes a little gentler, and you, quietly but profoundly, become a source of light in it. At the end of each day, there is a moment that often passes unnoticed, a pause that, if embraced, can change the way we live. Reflection is this quiet practice, a chance to look back on the hours that have gone by and to see them with honesty and clarity. It is not about judgment or regret, but about awareness, about noticing what went well and what could be approached differently. In these few minutes, the events of the day transform from a blur into lessons, guiding the choices of tomorrow. When you take time to reflect, you begin to understand yourself more deeply. Patterns that were invisible during the rush of the day become clear, revealing habits, tendencies, and reactions that shape your life. You see where your energy was well spent and where it may have been scattered. You notice moments of patience and compassion, and moments where you could have responded with more presence or care. This awareness is a gentle teacher, showing you that growth is not a distant goal, but a daily unfolding, and that wisdom emerges when we pause to observe, rather than rush to act. Reflection also nurtures gratitude, for even in challenging days, there are lessons, small victories, and gestures of kindness that often go unnoticed. It allows you to acknowledge the moments that brought joy, learning, or connection, creating a sense of completeness before sleep. Over time, this habit strengthens emotional resilience as you learn to navigate difficulties with insight rather than frustration, and to celebrate successes without attachment. By reviewing the day, you create a bridge between experience and understanding, between action and intention. Life becomes less like a series of events happening to you, and more like a conversation in which you are an active participant. Through reflection, you cultivate self-awareness, growth, and a quiet sense of mastery over your own journey, and you begin to carry the lessons of today forward, shaping a tomorrow that is more conscious, more deliberate, and more aligned with the person you aspire to be. In a world that never stops buzzing, there is a hidden freedom in stepping away from screens, notifications, and constant connectivity. Taking time each day to disconnect is not about escaping life. It is about reclaiming a part of yourself that is too often scattered, distracted, or exhausted. When you put aside phones, computers, and social media, you allow your mind to settle, your thoughts to breathe, and your attention to return to what truly matters. The stillness that emerges is like a quiet river, smoothing the rough edges of stress and fatigue, and opening space for clarity and creativity. This practice is an invitation to be fully present in your own life. When the constant barrage of information is paused, you notice the small details you usually overlook, the patterns of your thoughts, the emotions beneath the surface, the rhythm of your own breathing. You become more aware of the people around you, more attentive to conversations, more attuned to the simple joys of your surroundings. In these moments, life slows down, not because the world has changed, but because you have chosen to see it with fresh eyes. Digital detox also strengthens your sense of control and balance. Rather than being pulled in every direction by alerts and updates, you learn to prioritize your attention, to respond consciously rather than react impulsively. Over time, this habit cultivates patience, focus, and an inner calm that carries through the day, influencing the way you work, relate, and make decisions. The mind, once cluttered with endless stimuli, becomes fertile again, capable of deep thought, reflection, and imagination. By stepping away from screens, you rediscover the richness of life that exists beyond pixels and notifications. You hear your own voice more clearly, feel your emotions more honestly, and connect with the present more fully. In this quiet practice, you learn that freedom is not in constant engagement, but in the choice to pause, to breathe, and to return to yourself with awareness and presence. It is in these moments of disconnection that you often reconnect most deeply with who you are and with the life unfolding around you. There is a quiet clarity that comes from putting thoughts into words, a way of listening to yourself that is rarely found elsewhere. Journaling is not just recording events. It is a conversation with your own mind and heart, a way of untangling the threads of your day, your emotions, and your dreams. When you write, you make the invisible visible. Confusion becomes clarity, worries transform into understanding, and fleeting ideas take shape in ways that can guide action and reflection. The simple act of holding a pen or tapping out words creates a bridge between what you feel and what you understand, between the chaos of thought and the order of awareness. Daily journaling also cultivates self-awareness because it forces honesty. You begin to notice patterns in your behavior, emotions that repeat, and decisions that shape the course of your life. Writing without judgment allows you to confront challenges with perspective rather than resistance. You can examine fears, frustrations, and disappointments, seeing them not as permanent burdens, but as experiences to learn from. At the same time, you celebrate victories, gratitude, and moments of insight, recording them so they can inspire and guide you when days feel heavier or more confusing. Over time, this practice becomes a mirror for growth. You can look back and see how far you have come, how challenges once intimidating now seem manageable, and how small changes in thought and action compound into meaningful transformation. Journaling sharpens focus, nurtures creativity, and strengthens emotional resilience because it gives you a private space to process, to dream, and to plan. It is in these pages, day after day, that you develop a deeper relationship with yourself. You learn to listen, to question, to guide, and to comfort your own mind. What begins as a few minutes of writing can unfold into profound understanding, helping you navigate life with clarity, presence, and quiet confidence. Through journaling, the inner voice grows stronger, and the path forward becomes more visible, illuminated by the simple act of putting thought into words. Sleep is not a pause in life. It is an essential rhythm that restores, heals, and prepares you to meet each day fully. Yet, in the rush of modern living, it is often treated as optional, a luxury to be sacrificed for work, social life, or entertainment. When you honor sleep as a daily habit, you honor yourself and the intricate balance of body and mind. Rest allows the cells to repair, the brain to process experiences, and the emotions to settle, creating a foundation of clarity and energy that cannot be replaced by coffee, willpower, or distraction. A consistent sleep routine cultivates more than physical health. It nurtures mental and emotional resilience. When you sleep deeply, your thoughts organize themselves, your memory strengthens, and your ability to respond rather than react improves. The mind, once scattered and burdened by unresolved stress, finds calm and coherence. Even small improvements, going to bed at the same time each night, creating a quiet space, or letting go of screens before rest, and transform how you feel upon waking. You begin to greet the morning with alertness, creativity, and a sense of readiness that spills into every interaction and decision. Sleep also teaches a subtle form of discipline and respect for your own limits. By choosing to rest when your body and mind need it, you resist the temptation of overexertion and reclaim control over your energy. Over time, this habit allows you to live each day more intentionally, moving through challenges with steadiness rather than fatigue, and savoring moments of joy with full awareness. By embracing the gift of sleep, you create a cycle of renewal that supports every other habit, every thought, and every action. The hours of rest are not wasted. They are fertile ground where the body recovers, the mind sorts, and the spirit grows stronger. In this rhythm of rest and wakefulness, life begins to flow more smoothly, and you discover that honoring the night is as vital as embracing the day, allowing you to show up fully, awake, and alive in the moments that truly matter. When we look at life closely, we realize that transformation is rarely the result of one grand event. It is the quiet, consistent choices we make each day that shape who we become. These habits, practiced with awareness, patience, and intention, are not just routines. They are small acts of care for yourself and the life you are living. Day by day, they build clarity, resilience, and a sense of purpose that no external circumstance can take away. The power lies in starting, in showing up for yourself in these simple ways, even when the results are not immediately visible. Each breath of gratitude, each moment of presence, each act of kindness, learning, reflection, or rest contributes to a life that feels fuller, calmer, and more alive. Over time, these seemingly small choices create a ripple effect, transforming not just your days, but the way you experience every moment. If you embrace them sincerely, even one habit at a time, you will wake up to a life that feels lighter, brighter, and more connected. And in that transformation, you will discover something profound. The extraordinary was always within reach, waiting quietly in the way you live each ordinary day.